Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have finalized their initial 53-man roster to start the 2024 season. I say initial because, again, the bottom of a roster is so fluid, so many different types of things can happen, but I'm going to be going over the entirety of the Bucs 53, giving my thoughts and opinions on it. Firstly, at quarterback, you have Baker Mayfield, you have Kyle Trask, only two quarterbacks. Now, in my opinion, I would have kept three quarterbacks. I would have kept John Wolford around. Now, I know people are going to say, like, well, John Wolford could have just been on the practice squad. And by the time this video is out, it's possible he's already on the practice squad. That's just information I don't have right now. This is being filmed on the 26th. I don't think we're going to be getting any information on the practice squad until the 27th. But you are running a risk with releasing Wolford. He could go to another team. This is the second time in a row that he has been released from the Bucs 53-man roster. And yes, he was on the practice squad last year, but is he going to be willing to do that again? He had an option to join the Rams last year. What if he has that option again? Would he take up the Rams on that offer? Maybe he might want to join another team as well if they're guaranteeing him a spot on the 53. Maybe like the Carolina Panthers. I don't know. But I would have kept three quarterbacks. We'll talk about what players I may have released and to keep Wolford on this roster, but it is what it is. At running back, you have three running backs: Rashad White, Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker. It's fine in my opinion. You could have made an argument to keep a fourth running back on there, maybe like a DJ Williams or Ramon Jefferson, but they probably wouldn't have gotten a lot of playing time besides special teams, and there may just be other guys out there that are good on special teams. So for running back, I think it's fine, to have three running backs. I think all three guys are going to be getting a lot of work this upcoming season, especially in this Liam Cohen offense where they're going to run the football more and try and do a lot of different unique types of things. So I'm fine with the running back position. At wide receiver, I have a couple of things here. You have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin, you have Jim McMillan, you have Trey Palmer. Those being your top four, 100% agree with that. I don't disagree with that. Cam Johnson is your fifth wide receiver, and only 5 wide receivers at that. In my opinion, I would have kept Cody Thompson, and I would have kept Ryan Miller. I think that both guys showcased a lot in the preseason, and yes, again, maybe they are going to be back on the practice squad. Maybe they're not. We don't know. I wouldn't want to run that risk. And there's some weird affinity with Cam Johnson, and it's just strange to me. I mean, the media, he's a media darling. Everybody's saying he's looked sensational in practice and whatnot. But the proof is in the game pudding, in my opinion. And they tried to use him a little bit in that final preseason game against Miami. But the best ability is availability, and Cam Johnson just hasn't been available. We've seen Cody Thompson and Ryan Miller go out there and do some good stuff, and they didn't really get rewarded for that. So it's kind of disappointing to see. I don't really know what the affiliation or the affiliation. I don't really know what the appeal is. Like Cam Johnson, he is valuable as a returner. They want to have him be a returner. I kind of get that. But you have Bucky Irving, you have Trey Palmer who can do those types of things as well. I just feel like we saw more out of Cody Thompson and Ryan Miller, but I'm not there every day. Obviously, the Bucs offensive coaching staff likes Cam Johnson a lot. It's just what I wouldn't do. I would also carry 6 wide receivers. At tight end, Cade Otton, Payne Durham, Ko Keith, and Devin Culp. I'm going to be honest, I probably would have gotten rid of Ko Keith. Now, does that mean you can keep another wide receiver or John Wolford? Yes, I would have only carried 3 tight ends. They obviously like Ko Keith in the rushing attack and whatnot. But, I think Ko Keith could have been a guy that you could have stashed away on the practice squad and then just elevated him if you wanted some more running work in a game. I don't know. It just kind of feels like he's eating up a roster spot. He feels very one-dimensional and limited in what he can do. Cade Otton's more of an all-around tight end. Payne Durham's more of an all-around tight end. I would even argue that Devin Culp can offer more at the tight end position. And look, I'm not I don't mean to completely bash Ko Keith, but it's just not the direction I would have went in. I would have kept 3 tight ends, and either that means a 6th wide receiver in Cody Thompson or Ryan Miller. I mean, I would have had both those guys on there, or that means keeping a John Wolford. So I don't know. It's not what I would have done. The offensive line is Tristan Wirfs, Ben Bredesen, Graham Barton, Cody Mock, and Luke Gedeke. Those are your starters. After that, you have Robert Hainsey as your top backup. Justin School is in there as well. Brandon Walton and Elijah Klein. Now, Brandon Walton's an interesting case for me. He did not have a good preseason whatsoever. He just didn't look like he was doing very good, be it penalties, be it play, whatever it may be, but he is versatile. So they do like that versatility a lot. I may have opted to keep, but they have a lot of interior guys. Like Robert Hainsey's an interior guy. Elijah Klein's an interior guy. I guess they didn't really have many backup tackles available. Like Luke Haggard was maybe an option. He was one of the final cuts. So maybe I would have kept him over a Brandon Walton, but I don't know. He might be one of those fluid guys that if the Bucs find a better option out there, maybe Walton might be on that short list of guys who might not be around. So we'll see. But that's it for the offense. Now moving on to the defensive side of things. On the defensive line, you have 6 guys. You've got Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, Logan Hall, Greg Gaines, Will Golston, and Ernest Brown IV. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of complaints about this defensive line. It just seems, unfortunately, I maybe would have kept CJ Brewer over an Ernest Brown. Maybe. But like I don't think you could have went wrong with either option. Both guys had a heck of a preseason, and I hope that Brown or Brewer can be on the Bucs practice squad. I hope that Luol Ugwak can be on the Bucs practice squad. I think both guys did a lot of good work. There's just too many bodies in that defensive line room that were doing some good work to where the bottom of the roster just couldn't really shape out the way you would hope it would. So I hope that those two are back on the practice squad, but I don't really have a ton of problems with the defensive line. Outside edge rushing linebackers, you have a few guys here. You have Yaya Diaby, 6 to be exact. Joe Tryon Shoyinka, Chris Braswell, Anthony Nelson, Marquise Watts, and Jose Ramirez. Now, this is interesting. I get that Todd Bowles is a defensive guy. I totally understand that. 6 is a lot for pass rushers. I mean, a lot. Could you have ran the risk of having Marquise Watts back on the practice squad or maybe like Jose Ramirez on the practice squad and kept another wide receiver? Maybe, I don't hate the options that are here. I would have maybe said that maybe you can move on from a Marquise Watts or try and stash him on the practice squad. It's a lot of young guys, and obviously you can't give snaps to all 6 of these guys. Maybe they could show up in special teams and whatnot. I'm fine with it. It's just some interesting stuff there. Inside linebacker, you have Levante David, KJ Britt, Servassier Dennis, and JJ Russell. I don't really have any problems with that. I think that right now, it's a good group. It's a fine group. It's a fine young group. We'll see how they grow and develop. Finally, with defensive backs, you have Jamel Dean, Zion McCollum as your 2 starting outside cornerbacks. You have Antoine Winfield Jr., Jordan Whitehead as your starting safeties. Tyke Smith, Christian Izien are kind of battling for that starting nickel spot right now. In my opinion, I think it's going to be Christian Izien, but I could be completely wrong. Bryce Hall is a backup outside cornerback. Kayvon Merriweather made this roster as a backup safety. Josh Hayes is a backup outside cornerback. You have Tavier Thomas in that mix, and you have Tyreek Funderburk in this mix. Now, if you're not getting rid of an outside linebacker, personally, probably would have gotten rid of Josh Hayes. It just seemed like he wasn't really setting himself apart in the preseason. And I get it. His main role is on special teams. But I don't know, man. Maybe you could have gotten rid of a Josh Hayes and added added that 6th wide receiver, maybe. Right? I think that's something you could have possibly done. But it does. Okay, so apparently, according to Greg Allman, Tyke Smith will be starting at nickel, not Christian Izien. So I don't know. I think Christian Izien could have been in that spot, but we'll see how Tyke Smith does going forward. I don't have a ton of problems with this. Dean, McCollum, Winfield, Whitehead. Those guys are staying, right? Of course, Tyke Smith is staying. Of course, Christian Izien is staying. Of course, Bryce Hall is staying. After that, Merriweather, TT, I love TT. I wish he would have played better in the preseason. It is what it is. And Tyreek Funderburk, and Josh Hayes are 4 guys that it's hey, they're kind of in that fluid position right now. We'll see. But right now, I feel like those guys' value to the roster is purely on special teams. Maybe you could have gotten rid of a guy like Josh Hayes, who I feel like out of that group of 11 was the weakest defensive back in the preseason. Maybe Tavier Thomas was in there as well. They played him a lot, by the way. But he has a lot of versatility. He's playing both safety positions, and he's playing the cornerback spot at the nickel. And he's a really, really good special teams player. So, I feel like he has more value than Josh Hayes. I might have got rid of, had 10 defensive backs. and a 6th wide receiver, and only 3 tight ends on offense. Finally, special teams, Chase McLaughlin, Jake Camarda, Evan Deckers is what it is. But really, aside from just like a couple of things, in terms of just the positional stuff, there's really not a ton I would change. Like I said, I would have had 3 quarterbacks. I would have had 6 wide receivers. I would have had 3 tight ends. I would have had 10 defensive backs. I would have cut Keefe. I would have cut Cam Johnson and Josh Hayes in their places. I would have had Ryan Miller, Cody Thompson, and John Wolford. Aside from that, that's really the only changes I would have made. I'm even, outside linebacker is fine. I got there eventually to where like my roster, in my head is making sense here. I hope that some of the guys that the Buccaneers cut are able to make it back on the practice squad because I feel like there is some value there that maybe the team is missing out on. But again, what do I know? I mean, I'm just a dude. So, but that's just my thoughts and opinions. But really, there's only like 6 players, three changes I would have made. What do you guys think? What changes would have you made to the Buccaneers 53-man roster? What do you like about this? What do you not like about this? I feel like, whenever we look at the roster, it's top heavy at receiver. It's a good group of running backs. It's a good offensive line. It's a good offensive line. I think it's a fine group of tight ends. Defensively, a fine defensive line. Really, I think Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey carry that defensive line. I'm still worried about outside linebacker because it's a young and experienced group. Heck of a young and experienced group. We'll see how all these young guys do. Very similar at inside linebacker besides Levante David. I think that the defensive back group is going to surprise some people this upcoming season. I feel like you have 4 really good starters in Dean, McCollum, Winfield, and Whitehead. And Tyke Smith can be in there as well. Maybe I would start Christian Izien. I don't know. I feel like Christian Izien showed some good work last year. And kind of wait to see for the special teamers, for the specialty guys. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions about this roster down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.